All right, officially, good afternoon. Welcome to our SHAC meeting today. It's Wednesday, July 19th, and we are meeting in the beautiful CCISD boardroom. We don't have a long agenda, but we do have some very important things to discuss, and so we're gonna get right to it. Okay, so we're gonna do attendance, my favorite. I haven't had to do attendance all summer, so it's good practice. All right, so Michelle Marker, that's me, I'm present. Mark Schauer, and Anne Marie is not. Mr. Hargis is not. Leela, Dr. Baggerman. No.
He did say he would be joining. Maybe he's running a little late or something.
Okay, I'm going to put a question for later. Okay, Dr. Woods. Here. Julie Dye.
Here.
And you said Miss McKenna could not attend. Aaron Pryor, I saw. Yes, thank you. And Dr. Lerma? No, okay. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I believe we still have quorum with 6. 6?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I was like, I believe we still have quorum. Okay, so quorum has been met. Just double checking. All right, still on summer mode, sorry. All right, so the first thing we need to do is a consent item, and it's approval of our May 17th minutes. And so they were sent out, and we need to see about approving those. So if I can have a motion to approve, or if anyone has any objections, we can just approve them. I was not here, so they looked good to me, but I wasn't here.
I'll make a
so
motion.
You'll make a motion, go, good.
I was here.
You were here, all right. Yeah, you ran it. How was that?
Into the ground.
Into the ground. Stop,
No,
stop.
I
No.
make a motion to approve the minutes from last meeting.
All right, any second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Any discussion? Anything that anybody saw? Okay, all right, so all in favor of approving the minutes, just say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Awesome, motion passes to approve the minutes from May 17th. Normally we do that via email, and we didn't get to do it this time, so we'll continue, I think, to try to do it that way. That way it avoids taking up your time. So our first action item, that would be the high school health book supplemental Goodhart Wilcox publisher, second time presented by Ms. Bull. Welcome.
All right, so this is the second time presentation of the companion text for the Goodhart Wilcox Health Skills resource that we'd like to use for our high school health classes that we will be newly using as a high school graduation requirement. Again, the parents are going to have to opt in to this content. We have been writing curriculum furiously this summer and hope to be able to, we have saved this content for the end of the semester. So they will be, it fits into the last 4 weeks of our semester so that we have time to still implement this in if we get this approved. The topics being covered are the chapter 20 through 23 in the textbook, the beginning of life, relationships and sexual abstinence, violence prevention and response, and the sexually transmitted infections, STIs and HIV/AIDS. Again, this resource covers different skills for the students to learn and practice, how to seek health care, how to say no and abstain from peer pressure. It also promotes awareness about the different complications that can occur from not practicing abstinence. Some of the features I talked about last time in this resource, where the essential questions and learning objectives are listed for the students and the teachers in a student-friendly manner. There are wonderful warm-up activities. As I've been writing curriculum this summer, I just get more and more excited about it because it is truly a student-centered curriculum where the students get to talk and discuss a lot of the activities in the textbook are them practicing talking to one another about how they're going to handle their life and their health in the future. real-world health skills are being practiced through a lot of the activities in the textbook. It's not just to sit and read this chapter and learn it. Through the chapter, there are multiple activities, and I don't know how any teacher could fit all of it in. It's all wonderful. They're just going to get to pick and choose some of the best ones that work for their students. And again, some samples of the warm-up activities. They assess if they think it's a myth or a fact, and then there's discussion that is elicited after these types of activities. They get to practice their skills. They get to do collaborative work. They work in groups on how to practice these skills. And again, the resource information is here. Partway through the summer, that login expired, and so this is the new one that was updated probably about a month ago, and it should still be working right now for you to get on there. But teachers will have a separate login for students to use for this content. There will be a separate login for the general health textbook that we've already proved, and when it comes time to teach the consent-only content, those students that stay in the classroom for that portion will have a different login to get into that specific content. A lot of the lessons I've noticed as I've been doing the curriculum writing is students may not even need to log in a lot. A lot of it is stuff that teachers can pull out and use in the classroom without students actually having to get in, but all of the teachers need the login to get into those beneficial resources. So I think it'll be very simple to keep that login information from the students whose parents do not want them or choosing to not have them opt into that lesson to make sure that that is staying separate. Any questions?
Since I wasn't here last time, I just wanted to ask to clarify, if a parent doesn't opt them in, what are those, is there alternative lessons
Yes.
that were prepared, I assume, for those kids? And will they be taken out of the classroom and put in a separate room? Or how's that gonna work?
Each campus will find a way to work this out, which that best suits them. I know on the larger campuses, there are probably 2 health teachers teaching sections at the same time. And so those 2 health teachers can work together. One is going to take the opt-in, the other is going to take the not opt-in. As I've been curriculum writing, there are other chapters in the resource, and the main resource that are supplements to the TEKS that are also covered in the Health 2 content if we were to ever and have a second semester. And so there's extra enrichment content that the students who do not opt in can participate in. Those campuses that maybe don't have 2 health teachers, I'll be suggesting to them that they work with some of the PE teachers to find places for the students who do not opt in, or even to work with a principal to get substitute teachers and find different locations for these students to be in during those lessons.
How many lessons throughout the year are opt-in lessons, approximately?
That content I have found would fit best into 4 weeks of lessons. It's a lot. I could probably get it down to 3, so it'll be 3 solid weeks, 3 to 4 solid weeks of instruction.
Okay. I'm only wondering because you mentioned a sub, and there's no way
Yeah.
they can afford a sub for that long. And it really
Right.
depends on the number, because it could be 30 kids in the class and there's only 2 that are not opting in. I mean, I'm just throwing out numbers, just making them up. They'll have to
Right.
figure something out.
And I've talked
I
with some
understand.
librarians, and they might be able to help with smaller numbers of students in that case like that.
And also, we're using our school counselors and our social workers and campus nurses to deliver these lessons. So,
Got you.
because we know that not all health teachers, may feel comfortable talking about
About
this.
some of it, yeah.
Or, just bringing in a guest speaker is sometimes fun to have somebody different be the
Oh, yeah, for
presenter.
sure.
Even if they are from on campus. And so we've had to already do that in middle schools with heritage keepers. So George and I had to experience that early on when we started it. And when Amy came on, like a process was already in place for the campuses, but I can help Amy and the campuses come up with ideas by utilizing current staff, because the subs are, they're hard to fill, the positions.
Right. I was just wondering. Like,
Yeah.
I totally have faith. I really do. I was just wondering because I'm at the high school, and I know logistically it could be nightmarish when you don't have a sub, and and you want to be true. And the reason I asked also is because when they opt in, that's not even a word. They're opting in for the whole gambit of lessons, not each individual lesson, correct?
Correct. Well, there's two opt-in
That's right.
forms. One is for the human sexuality. So they can opt into just the human sexuality, and I have that within a week or two. And then there's the opt-in for the dating violence, family violence, abuse,
Okay.
And human trafficking.
human trafficking.
I'm also asking as a teacher who teaches freshmen, and those are the kids that are going to be in the classes, and if they have questions, I want to be able to
Oh, that's a
answer
good
them
point. That's a good
appropriately, because I
point.
teach them all day. So
Yes, that's a good point.
yeah, so I just was wondering, because they always have questions, bless
Sure.
their hearts. So, okay, thank you very much.
Of course, I had a question. But are there any tests or quizzes to gauge your knowledge, or is it just sitting and absorbing?
The resource comes with multiple choice questions. I'm starting to lean towards some of the more of the project-based summative assessments, because that gets the kids talking about it with one another. And again, all of those activities within the book can be used as assessments to see if students are grasping what the content is.
Because I'm assuming it's a graded class, therefore they have to have major
Yes.
and minor, just like we have
Yes.
major and minor, and they're going to have to do something to show. Okay, that's what I figured.
The textbook and the resources for the teacher have all of that.
I took health back in the day when we had it. I remember it was a coach, and we had to take tests, and you had to know the material, and I mean you didn't. Yeah, I remember.
There are vocabulary activities that they can do. All
Yeah.
that. It's a great resource.
Okay, so all students, starting with this incoming freshman group, will be required to have it by the end of graduation. So most likely freshman class will get it through, but they are only required the part that's not opt-in. Meaning, if the parents, so they don't have to. They will do the other. So the only thing that's really required is, I guess, the other material, and then
Yes.
the opt-in part is just kind of additional. Encouraged, but it's the parents'
It's
permission.
content that's in the TEKS, but parents can choose for them to not partake in that.
Okay, got it.
Any other questions?
But the class and the credit, the half credit, are required. They have to still do something else in place of the opted-in material.
Yes.
So they still are doing
They're still going to
something
be doing
related
some
to health.
health-related content, revisiting some of the previous content that was covered in the semester. I envision maybe some project-based work with groups to make it a little more friendly for them. I don't want them to feel that they're being segregated out. There's still some fun activities that they can do with that content and some new content. I've thought about making some choice boards for them so they can pick some content that they want to learn more about and do some project-based activities off of their choice of activity.
They like choice.
Yeah.
Menu boards, like something where they have to, that would be amazing. And what are they doing for the other half credit to go with this? Did we do the world geography
We
thing?
did. So
Okay, we did it, okay.
we wrote a condensed course for world geography.
Okay.
But for any student who comes in outside of their freshman year, moves into our area, we have plenty of half credit courses to be able to pair it up with.
Yeah, but I knew the freshman one, so AP Human Geography is,
We're not condensing that.
we're not condensing it, okay. Just,
So those students, and out of generally a 25 or 2,800 graduating class, there's about 200 that take an AP Human Geo. So those 200 students would have to pair up that half credit with another half credit course.
Credit, okay. Again, people were asking me questions.
Of
They're like,
course.
You're a teacher, you know
Those
what
are
you're
good
doing.
questions.
Yeah, I'm not a counselor, but yeah, I like to know. All right, thank you.
Any other questions?
No, okay, but before we vote, Ms. Fuller would like to have public comment on this topic. So, Ms. Fuller, would you like to come up?
Hi, I'm Shauna Fuller. Many of you know me, and I will save my thank yous until the very last audience participation. But I do appreciate everything that you're doing today, especially coming in the middle of summer. So thanks for taking time to discuss this important issue. I want to make sure that I'm clear, is this material going to be taught to freshmen? This is a freshman course primarily, or is it any time within the 9th through 12th grade before students graduate? What happens to students who are going to be seniors this year? And how will that affect students who already have their set schedule and what they need to graduate? So if there can be some discussion on that, please. And then also, I appreciate that y'all have worked very hard to make sure that the content is age appropriate, particularly by writing your own curriculum. I know that takes a lot of time to do. So thanks for doing that. And then just making that curriculum accessible to parents as much as possible, of course, is going to be important. And I've seen so many good strides in that, in what CCISD is doing this school year in particular. And so thanks for being on top of that. And thanks for answering my questions. One final question is just mentioning again the supplemental material that will be approved is the TEA approved for Texas, correct? We're not talking about the Goodhart Wilcox that's like the non-Texas edition that just has everything in it. So I just want to make sure that that's clear. Thank you.
Thank you. And I can go ahead and answer the questions. So the health course, the 0.5 credit health course, one semester, is mandated as a graduation requirement for all incoming freshmen, the graduating class of 2027. For any student currently who's not a part of the incoming class freshmen, so your last year's freshman through senior are not impacted by this. We will still be coordinating SHAC-approved presentations to get information to those students whose parents opt them in to see that content. But our goal was really to start creating a path for our students where we are the presenters of the information. We help control the message and craft the message. The supplement is the TEA approved version of the supplement that we will be using. And, you know, Ms. Bull and the health teachers use that to drive the development of the lessons for students that teachers will be using. Did I answer all your questions, Ms. Fuller? Okay, thank you.
Okay, so we have had our presentations and we've had public comment. So I believe it is now time to vote on this matter. So we will be voting, possibly, if y'all have a motion, for the high school health book supplemental Goodhart Wilcox, the TEA approved Texas version. Publisher, this was our second time presented on. So do I have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion.
Okay. And Mark. Do I have a second? Leela. Thank you, Leela. All right. Any discussion? No. All right. So I will be going down the names, and it's just yay, nay. They put not yes or no, but yay or nay. Yay, nay, or your abstention. All right, Michelle Marker, yay. Mark Schauer.
Yay.
Anne Marie is absent. Leela? Yay, okay. Dr. Baggerman. Dr. Woods?
Yay.
Julie Dye?
Yay.
Okay, absent. Aaron Pryor?
Yay.
Yay. And Lerma. All right. Motion passes. 'Tis approved. All right, motion passed. All right, thank you so much. And we've done our public comment. And so on there is SHAC discussion. Hey, that's us. SHAC 2023-24 meeting dates. And I believe that's Dr. Erzmendi.
Okay, so before we won't, can you minimize that just for a second? Because it's so visually beautiful, I don't want to distract. Okay, so we would like to propose some dates for next school year. And that we are required to meet a minimum of 4 times in a school year. And so this year we met 6, and the prior year I think we met 7, but we were having to do some catch up with Senate Bill 9 and HB 1525 that put a lot of extra work on the front end of SHACs. And I'm hoping that we're to a point that our meetings can meet at least at minimum 4 times a year, but we've left room in the schedule to have another meeting should we need to. But also, most of the curriculum has already been approved. And so the proposed dates for next year are September 14th, November 16th, February 29th, and May 23rd. And we don't have a time. I can tell you that I receive public comments, emails from the community, if we would consider having our meetings later in the day to align more with like school board meetings. And so something to consider. And we're not voting today on the dates. This is just, for whenever we meet the next time, which we know that we will be installing a new board. It goes to our Board of Trustees on July 31st. And so potentially we could have 4 new members because we are bringing Leela back, who would be the 5th. Sorry, you didn't have a voice in that, Leela. No, I'm just joking. I asked her. But anyway, these are dates that we are proposing, and also the consideration about the time. So, if we want to look at something, generally we run 2 hours, a 3 to 5 o'clock, with that, because our board meetings start, some start at 2:30, if we have special presentations, and then a standing Board of Trustee meeting starts at 3:30. And they don't have an end time, we just have to work through the business of that meeting. But for us, we do establish an end time and try to navigate an agenda to work within the parameters of those 2 hours. So just for something as y'all are marinating on best times, not only for you but also for the community, to be able to meet some of the community's needs, to consider maybe an afternoon, later time. Any questions about the proposed dates at this time? Or do y'all have anything you want me to consider when looking at dates and times for next year?
Do you have an expected time for us to get you a time of what we would like before September 14th? When would you like to have that information?
So once July 31st comes around for determining who will sit on the board for the next 2 years, Leela's the only one that's a 1-year term, but everybody else would be a 2-year term. So once we make those announcements, and I'll have that board training or that SHAC training, so the new members know what their role is, and try to make them a little more comfortable with what SHAC, the business of SHAC. So at that time, when we start emailing out that new group of members, I'll put these dates on there, and then you will have some more definitive timeframes to get feedback. I just wanted to plan it out there now to give y'all plenty of time to start considering those dates and also potential change in time.
Yes, ma'am, that makes sense. So when will the new board choose officers for, because I assume you want to have that done before September 14th, correct?
So I think September 14th is the first meeting, and I think we do it during that meeting. So we would do the officers. Right, so.
I didn't know if at a workshop, since if it can be done at like the workshop.
So
or
the
it has
workshop,
to
we
be-
don't really have any actionable business. It's really a training. It's an opportunity to come together just to train, like what are our bylaws? What are some of the duties and probably after hour, work hour things that you'll need to review? And when you're reviewing, you know, what are some things you're considering when I send you a whole book? You know, like when I'm going to read a book just to add another book to my list of have-reads. No, so we just try to provide that training and information to them so that as they're sitting here, they know, they understand their role, right? They understand how they can contribute to the feedback.
Okay, that's what I wanted to know.
Okay. So the next item is our comprehensive plans. So the SHAC team, which you know is over here to the right of us, really is responsible for certain aspects of SHAC because the amount of knowledge one needs to have to make sure that we are evidence-based, we're bringing forth something that is responsive to not only state requirements, but is sound in research. I mean, it takes a team of people. And also, y'all have seen some of the voluminous materials that come through. I cannot read it all. And so we divide and conquer. And what we had wanted to do was to draft almost a year at a glance for y'all so you could see throughout the months what our teams on campuses are going to be focusing on. And you have a PDF copy in your folder. And I just want to orient you to this document. And again, no action is going to be taken today. I'm really just seeking your feedback to see, is this enough information for you to approve? Because if you approve this, we really shouldn't have to be coming back for, you know, one-time approvals or anything else. Like, this should be good to go with how our campuses are going to spend the 23-24 school year talking about social emotional learning and supports, physical health and wellness on the campus, mental health supports on the campus, and also employee health. State law does require the SHACs to oversee the comprehensive programs in each of these areas. And so that's why we thought if we could put it in a plan and you could have a year's look at what we plan on doing, you can give us the feedback and we won't have to be coming back frequently because you'll know, our community will know the general topics that we'll be covering and what resources we'll be using whenever we're covering those. So if I can, and this is draft, this is not final by any means, this is a draft document. So you have in kind of a faded red font or faded red shading at the top, the guidance and counseling, which will cover the social emotional, and that's Courtney Rios. And so she is working with her counseling team, and they've written, using our SHAC approved materials, a year at a glance to cover both the state required character education lessons, but also counseling activities that provides the guidance. So for elementary in grades K through 5, during the month of September, and in the green, there's a small green ribbon that's going just underneath the header. That's the separation of each of the months. So as you go down the page, you'll see that green header separating the months. So in the month of August, in elementary, for character education lessons, our students in grades pre-K through 5 are going to be covering the TEKS on empathy. And again, this is a state-required character trait that we have to teach, but it also aligns with our CKH theme for the month. And the resources that our counselors will be using are the books and videos that y'all approved at our last SHAC meeting. that will be hyperlinked. So we're just going to hyperlink to our website already, in which these are public facing. So this will be a public facing document. This will not be an internal. I mean, it's internal, but it will be used internally, but it's for the public. So our families can click on that link, and it will take them to our district's public-facing folder in which these books and videos reside. So instead of, because right now we have lots of links on our district's webpage, because that's just kind of how it got approved, and we just added the link, as we were presenting it. But here it makes it more centralized. Also, elementary, during the month of August, for grades pre-K-5, we'll be doing beginning of the year activities for counseling, and that's getting to know you, getting to know the counselor getting to know the students as part of their guidance lessons in elementary. Our counselors go into the teachers' classrooms, and they lead lessons getting to know their students, and vice versa. We are having changes across the district with new counselors, and so a student may be new to the campus, or that counselor may be new to the campus. And so this is a very standard beginning of the year activity, just getting to know your counselor. What are some things that you visit your counselor for, and where do you find the counselor, and things of those nature. Also staying under that shaded red area for middle school in the month of August for grades 6 through 8. They also do meet the counselor and will focus on empathy, character traits. And under counseling activities for guidance, they will do their beginning of year activities on getting to know the counselor and the counseling resources. And for grades 9 through 12, the same thing in the month of August. So just kind of orienting you to the month of August for guidance and counseling. That same pattern is working across the document for physical health and wellness and mental health and wellness. Under the mental health and wellness, you will find some words in red. And the words in red mean there are materials in there for those lessons that will require your approval. We're asking your approval. It's not required. Again, it's just something that in CCISD, we want to bring it forward, be transparent and make sure that our SHAC team knows what's happening with our students and the parents know what's happening with their students on campus. So mental health services do require parent consent. So, that is something that is, if a student is going to see the social worker or maybe an LPC, that consent is required for those types of services. But in the hyperlink I'm just going to start with this first box here. There's a folder of themes, and these are worksheets. You may be asking, well, if we've already approved stuff that could be used for mental health, why are we introducing more? Well, what we found was these are Tier 3 services. Not all students receive these services. These are only students who are referred by the counselor who need more intense one-on-one service. So these are students who will receive one-on-one, or it could be a very small group. If there's a group of students experiencing the same type of trauma, they may get to a point in their counseling sessions where we can bring them together and we work through those counseling lessons together. What we found was what we approved as SHAC wasn't meeting the needs of those Tier 3 students. And so, because we used those same materials for Tier 1 and Tier 2, just using the same materials in smaller group wasn't effective. And so Dr. Yeskus and her team of social workers and LPCs sought out to find research-based materials that align with their training and their degree and their master's degree in social work, and aligns with their theories that they've learned when dealing with certain types of trauma. So we do have materials in here that will require approval. Dr. Yeskus, is there anything else you want to did I cover it, or is there something else you'd like to add in there?
No, you did a great job. Just as Dr. Ismendi said, we had a lot approved, but like Dr. Ismendi said, sometimes it didn't meet our needs, or we needed more that was available. So the team got together. They did a fabulous job saying, we're adding more grief and loss now because they found different needs. The kids went beyond what we already had. So we went through this, and of course, your approval. And I'm going to go through. So yes, this is very much a rough draft. There's a lot of stuff on here I need to go through as well, just to make sure that the items are appropriate. But this is just something that the social work team told me, Maria, we need more. We need more specialization. We need more focus on particular topics. And so that's where we came up with this plan.
The last column, the purple column, is our employee health. Like I said, that is one of the charges of SHAC, is to ensure that there are programs and events and activities that support our employee health. So for example, in the month of August, our benefits department runs a National Immunization Month for all their employees. And I do have Ms. Warnke here, who is the director of, I'm going to call it employee benefits, but it's so much more. So I don't know if there's something more in terms of what y'all offer for employee health and how you reach out to campuses to be able to promote these events that y'all provide.
Well, you're probably familiar with my staff member, Deborah Barrera. She's our coordinator. She's my coordinator for benefits. So she does campus visits and department visits as well. Early morning staff meetings at 6 and 7 a.m. with our maintenance folks. And then we can even, we've even reached out to the central kitchen like late in the evening. So we do try to do that one-on-one. Deborah's, one person. We're a small but mighty department. We have the calendar. I know Deborah and I, we work together to plan the year worth of events, and we have a lot of incentive items. I will be in front of principals and APs all throughout the year, encouraging health and wellness competitions that they love to do and engage in. So we're just looking forward to another stronger, even better year. So thank you.
Yeah, competitions, I don't know if it's so friendly, because at least here in the admin building, when it's your weigh-in, the day you leave for a break and the day you get back for a break, I mean, people like load themselves down. Like, how many keys can I put in my pocket? Can I carry my purse when I step on the scale? And then when they come back, they're trying to strip it all off. Like, how much can I take off? I mean, because they want to win, right? It's a maintain, no gain. So if you can maintain your weight, you're a winner. If you don't gain any weight, if you lose weight, well, then even more of a winner personally. So it gets fun here in the admin building. I can't imagine what it's like across the district, getting a little into the season with that. And so we've taken, like I said, this structure, and you can see it on your sheets of paper as we go through. In the month of September, we identify elementary, middle, and high school, what we'll be working on. The Sandy Hook Promise was a curriculum y'all recently also approved. We are actively continuing to write curriculum on that. That has been adopted by the state of Texas through the Texas School Safety Center, recommended for school districts to use. And this coincides with our safe and supportive teams on campuses that conduct threat assessments or trying to identify potential threats on campuses. And so, like I said, much of the curriculum has already been approved. Mental health was really the one that came forward and said, we need to do more for our one-on-one and small group students versus what we're doing with the larger student population. And I wanted to provide you the paper copy because scrolling through what is 6 pages can make you a little dizzy. But at this time, what else could we provide in here? What you don't see are the hyperlinks to our public-facing page, which will be in here and sent to you. You'll have plenty of time just to review the layout, because again, the resources aren't changing for much of this YAG. But what aspects could we add to this that benefit you? So if somebody comes and asks you as a representative of SHAC, or that benefits our parents, and knowing what their students are learning either through our Tier 1 general guidance curriculum, you know.
So I just wondered, so last year, I sat on MHID's board, and they sent myself and the chairperson, because I was like the assistant chair, to National Harbor for the National Mental Health Symposium. And one of the biggest things they stressed again and again is they were trying to use the word mental well-being, because it has a very positive connotation where, you know, if I go to the doctor's office, you know, it's a health problem or health, you know, but mental health takes on a different. I just wonder if there is any chance that we would use mental well-being when we're talking overall about, because it has a positive connotation, no matter who you are, where you think you are, that you always have to pay attention to it. As compared to you have a mental health problem and you have depression and it's a problem that you need to take care of. You know what I mean? It's a different, different approach.
And when I speak on it, I mention mental health and wellness, just like I do physical health and wellness, because it's not just about being physically active. You know, there's so many other, you know, aspects of maintaining a healthy body. And I know that Dr. Yescas and her team has used the term, but I can't say that it's consistent. You know, I am fine with calling it mental health and wellness or mental health and well-being. You know, I don't necessarily have, you know, a preference of one over another. And also mental health. I guess when I hear mental health, I think of the robust word, you know, and not necessarily a diagnosed condition, you know, or a set of life experiences that is detrimental, it's causing trauma to the individual.
So I was working on a training for teachers recently, and I was referring back to the last one that I had access to, which it doesn't look like this. So I guess it was last year's. But it's difficult for me to figure out what our teachers have access to versus what our mental health providers have access to. And so, like, when I'm providing teachers with strategies or tools, I want to refer them to resources that are already available, because a lot of times they don't know.
Right.
There's so many things that they're not sure what they have access to, and I am not sure, like, who is
Well, if it's on the
leading this?
public-facing website, everybody has access to it, and those have all been approved on, you know, by y'all. And that's on our CCISD website under Student Health Advisory Council, on the main page under departments. And so.
But not all of these things, like, do teachers have access to necessarily, right? Like, some of these are lessons that are led by other people.
I think
So if it's Quaver Ready, or, you know, there's Quaver Ed, Quaver Ready that's been approved. I mean, that's PE. I mean, you're right. So those are more PE or counselor, because our counselors will be using some of the Quaver Ed materials for their curriculum. And so that's based on licensure, right? Because it's a TE
Right.
and, you know, books, whether it's, you know, hardback or electronic. So those are led by licenses, and I don't know that standard classroom teachers have access to those books. But in terms of activities, there's several activities that are on our public-facing website that have been approved that anybody has access to. And so one of the things that I sent the team in a message is, I mean, our list is long, but I think it's getting to a homeostasis right now, that we can start creating folders and organizing the public-facing website into folders. You know, so if I'm an elementary parent, I can click on elementary, you know, and if I, you know, want activities that talk about, you know, again, they're going to fall into these main categories, because good decision-making falls into both character education lessons, but also our guidance lesson. You know, so it'll be categorized as however the state categorizes it, just for consistency, but the resources inside, we can link what aligns with that category. So, but, I mean, yes, most of the resources that are not textbook related are accessible. I would caution, I would want, whatever lessons or activities that we're putting out there, not to require specialized training or background, because that could, like, even whenever we do anything with Heritage Keepers or Signs of Suicide, we have social workers on call right there, just in case, we trigger a previous trauma, that we have somebody there. So I would want the lessons that are selected or recommended, to be something that can be generalized.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So that's something we could even go a step further, because as you mentioned, I would not want someone without the background, a mental health background, to do grief and loss, or to do the signs of suicide. So maybe that's something we could do, is delineate, like, this is what teachers we feel are appropriate for teachers, the general public to use, versus a mental health professional. This is the curriculum that they use. Would that make you feel more comfortable?
Right, like I just find that when I'm talking to teachers about supports and strategies, a lot of them feel like they don't know where to start, or they don't, but I'm like, I know we have a lot of resources, but I'm not sure if I know how to guide a teacher to the
I would
right
almost want them to guide them to the counselor.
Yeah.
Because I would want to make sure that whatever student that they're concerned about, or a group of students, or a certain behavior that they need to address in their classroom as part of classroom management, I would want to involve the campus counselor. And maybe that person can help guide activities that are classroom-based and easy to explain to a teacher, and a teacher to embed into an opener or get to know you. And I see you, Michelle.
I was just going to say, as a teacher, we go to the Apple in Canvas, and it has all of our curriculum. And we go to our backpack in Canvas, and it has all the resources. Mm-hmm. So if it's somewhere else and it hasn't been pointed out to them, like, I'm sorry, like a giant folder in a public thing, they might not go to. And I understand they have access, but as a teacher, if it's something you want them to use, and if you're going to approve, and this is like the teacher stuff, or you have something like this, and it's like the teacher link of like, go here, then that's great. But if you just say, well, go to the public, and you know what I'm saying? Like, that would be really difficult, because it'd be like, okay, well, what do you want? It'd be like a hard to choose from like a bunch in a folder.
And we're actually setting up.
Go to the Apple.
Yeah, so we're actually setting up Canvas for public-facing side.
Oh, really?
We're actually ahead of the legislature. I think they were in on our conversations last year, to make all of our lessons, the materials we're going to use, almost like this, like an outline of our lessons, available to our families, so that our families are aware, and having to using Canvas, but making sure we're giving enough access to just that limited part, because Canvas too charges by the number of users and things of that, and number of students and all of that, so almost identifying a portion of Canvas that can be easily accessible without having to create a login and watch a video and all of that good stuff. So that is where SHAC will be heading and moving to. It's just it started out, using a Google folder that was public facing. And I think now we're getting to a point to where we can start organizing that more. And since the district is going to this public-facing website for K-12, pre-K-12 lessons and curriculum that we would be using, curriculum resources, this would be a nice fit also to join them in that.
My only other thing I wanted to say is, when you make these documents, like where the link is next to the red, not to do that. Don't make a giant link with all that stuff. Just highlight school year anxiety, and that's the link.
Yes.
I'm only saying that because people start going like, whoa,
it would be that. It would be the words would be hyperlinked. Yes.
I figured, but I was like, oh my gosh.
Well, I can tell you right now, Dr. Iescas is probably sweating, because I told him, I said, you know what, I'll just show Courtney Rios's, because she had developed hers a little more. But then when I opened it up today, I'm like, every single one of them worked really hard to get the whole year laid out, because I was just going to show you a sample. So that's why she's probably like, why is she showing that? She wasn't supposed to show that.
No,
But no, it will
I don't
be
mean
just
to be critical. I'm sorry. I'm just like, dang, that's a lot of blue. Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
so
but I
it
like
will
the
be,
layout.
it will be the skill, and those words of that skill will be hyperlinked, and they just click on that.
But the layout is very good. It's very simple because you elementary versus middle versus high. It's very easy to see. I mean, it's all very like simplified. I like that. But like, yeah, the resources, just highlighting whatever and link it, or I mean.
And I think, Ms. Prier, the document you were talking about was our approved curriculum by grade band. So you had a yellow section and then the blue section, and then it was all the curriculum that was approved. We still have that. I mean, it's still available, but it's not organized as a year at a glance. It's more grade level what curriculum by topic has been approved.
It's like a list of resources.
Yeah.
Like how they're being implemented.
Yes.
And I will second Michelle's comment. This is just how my brain works. I know everybody's brain is different, but this makes complete sense. It's very easy to follow and organize for the public. I would suggest, I don't know, at the bottom or somewhere, just adding, Ms. Rios and Dr. Yeska's email or somebody in their department. So if a parent or somebody looks down at mental health and they're like, oh, that's, they have a question, then they don't have to, figure out who do I need to ask.
I'll be happy to add Courtney and Maria's email address.
Or somebody who can respond to those,
You bet.
I think that would be helpful to add.
I just had a quick question as well. And for some of these things, it regards what activities are done, and I agree and appreciate separating out, these are the ones for trained counselors and these ones for not, but inevitably, any kind of activity leads to group discussion in a class, and that's one thing where it can be very traumatizing sometimes if things come out for some child with their peers and in their class, whether they mean for it to or not. So with that being said, while it's not a real counseling training for teachers who are going to be utilizing this stuff, some kind of what do we do to help with knowledge on facilitation and when to identify something's happening, cut off the conversation, and get someone connected one-on-one with the counselor, I guess.
And our counselors do that already. So that is part of when they're working with teachers, the guidance that they provide, because we don't want to disrupt class instruction, tier 1 instruction, that core instruction of the content is precious, and we want to protect it. However, we can't always know when there's going to be an outcry, or maybe some concerning comments or trending behavior and what to do. So counselors on campuses do inform teachers of
Is it part of the in-service, or how
it's actually part of ongoing throughout the year. We have different times, we'll do trauma-informed care training with our teachers. We embed that in there. Signs of suicide with our teachers. Well, we don't do signs of the curriculum with them, but whenever we talk about suicide with our teachers, we tell them this is what to alert to and what you should be concerned with behaviors or words or, and go tell the counselor. I mean, that's what we say. But I agree with you. I mean, we need to make sure they know what to do when.
What to do, what not to do, and when to reroute, I guess, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I think it's critical that teachers involved. As a former teacher,
first line.
as a former teacher,
They're first line.
you're the ones that see them.
Yes, and they know the change in behavior.
The kids are not going to show up in the counselor's office. It's the teachers identify. So I appreciate the effort. I just want to make there's that kind of training part for at least the identification. So thank you.
Yes, you bet. Thank you.
I just want to add a couple things. Number one, I just want to give some accolades to you guys and to the SHAC board as well. This has been 3 years worth of work, hard work to put this together, to come together with the new laws, to shape the SHAC, to get this together. So I want to give you guys a lot of congratulations for getting this together. This is huge. This really is a really big deal. I love the layout of it. What I would like to see, if it's appropriate, is to put some of our community partners. So we used to have a community partner list, and if we have a community partners that the SHAC has approved, I wouldn't mind seeing that on the back here, just to say, these are some of the outside organizations that speak to some of the things that may be going on within these communities or at these campuses.
Okay, yeah, We can do that. I can't necessarily know the time frame, because there may be one that's got to go through all campuses, but add a section where we identify who are our community partners and what they would be talking on.
Yes, more a general overview, I guess.
Okay.
'Cause I think you have some of them in here. Like there are some, like a few, but I agree. Like go one stop, like the last page. Or but there are some that are in here already. But no, it looks great. Does anyone else have a comment? Leela, what do you think?
It's a very nice organization. Like, I do my spreadsheets the same exact way. But I think it's really good. Like, it looks really awesome.
Okay. Well, that's all I have if y'all don't have anything else. Thank you.
No, thank you guys for everything. We really appreciate it. All right, so I see announcement, but I don't see any announcements. Do we?
Minutes. Like I said earlier, I just want to thank each of you for this tough year. I know the past couple of years, especially since HB 1525 and SB 9 has been passed, has been very challenging, and you've taken a lot of your important, valuable time, even family time, to take a look at the materials being considered. I understand there's a lot more work to do on the mental health material to be approved, and so just stay the course. Thank you to CCISD, who has worked really hard in increasing parental and community engagement and also transparency. That is what we've been hoping for and working for, especially as our chapter of Moms for Liberty. We want to be involved in our children's education. We know that's a God-given right, and so we stand firm on that, and we appreciate all the cooperation from the district. So God bless y'all. Hope you enjoy the rest of your summer, and thank you very much.
Thank you. And I just need y'all to know Ms. Fuller has been a great partner, at least with me. I mean, I don't know how, she doesn't, worry about reaching out to me, about relationships or anything. We've been able to form good relationships, and she brings forth ideas and does a good job also representing her constituents, and her community that ask her to bring forth a voice. So thank you for your partnership, Ms. Fuller.
All right, thank you so much. Is there any other announcements? No? Okay, explain. Closing comments. Dr. Arizmendi, do you have any other closing comments?
So I just, like I said, there's 4 potential new positions on SHAC, and so, I won't know the outcome until the board meeting. But anyway, it's been phenomenal working with those of you who may be leaving us, and so I want to make sure to take the opportunity to public thank you for, I know it's a lot of time, and you ask really good questions, and Shower, I don't want you to ever feel bad for asking questions, because I don't lose sleep. Many things probably don't make you lose sleep. But also, Ms. Market, for your leadership of this committee. It's been a cornerstone and steady, and I've appreciated that, especially as, I transitioned in. Y'all gave me grace, and so I appreciate that.
In front of 30, 14-year-olds, this is nothing,
That's
right? Easy peasy. All right, thank you so much. All right, if there are no more comments and there is no more business to be had, then I call this meeting adjourned. And have a wonderful day. And rest of your summer, as short as it is.